the streaming services out there that you'll find find sites like Pick Dogs over on Twitter, Facebook. Those of you there on the live, we appreciate you supporting our show. Of course, we'll give you a lot of free picks. Got a lot of cappers on the show today. We've got picks coming in from Major League Baseball. Game 6, will the Dodgers get it done, or will the Rays force it? Game 7, we'll have a pick on that one, as well as a lot of college football. Let's take a look at the guest list for today. We got a good show today. We've got Razowaki will join us. Damien Sosh will log in bottom of the hour, and of course, Alaninos. No Dodgers shirt today, so I don't know what he's yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I was expecting to see blue.
Not quite. It does say Los Angeles on it, though. As close as I could get today.
Close as they can get. All right. Of course, Chris Ruffalo will be my co-host. Alex Smarts will join us as well, and as well as Shane Mickle here on the drive-through. So let's go ahead and get things started. I'll welcome my co-host to the show, Chris Ruffalo. You'll find him on our show as well as the morning show. Chris, how you doing today? Of course, Monday Night Football. The Rams, get the cover, but the game, a lot of people like the under, and that's where it headed.
Absolutely. I mean, you saw it firsthand. I mean, the Chicago Bears, for whatever reason, decided that the offense wasn't going to kick in on Monday night. You know, it was an all-defensive game, and, you know, the defense worked on both sides, and, you know, we saw LA, you know, get the job done. You start to wonder if Nick Foles is actually going to be the guy that's going to lead Chicago to some success this year, because, you know, it hasn't been clicking. You know, 19 points against Tampa Bay, 10 points against the Rams. I mean, these are some decent defenses, but you still expect a little bit more from your quarterback.
Yeah, a little bit more from the quarterback. But again, I was looking at the receivers; they just don't seem to get open. I mean, there's no deception in their pass route running, and not enough separation. And the Rams, let me tell you, that secondary is not as good as they looked yesterday. They were not getting fooled. I mean, there was really not many moves made by these receivers to try to get open.
No, for sure. And I mean, you know, running four verticals. I mean, this isn't a video game that you play when you're a kid where you just have the guys all running a straight line and hope you're going to catch somebody beat deep. I mean, you know, you got to throw in a little bit of deception. That's why they call it route running, is because you have to run a route to try to get around your defender. And unfortunately, you know, if you just run in a straight line, it's not going to be too hard to figure out where you're going to go or what you're going to do. And, you know, as fast as these guys are in today's game, you know, speed doesn't just do it. You know, like Tony, like you said, there has to be at least a little bit of deception, but unfortunately we didn't see it last night.
Yeah, we didn't see that last night. And one thing, when you watch New England, they perfect that down pat. You know, a lot of defenders get beat because of the moves these receivers make when they run the routes.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you know, you look at some of the best to do it. You know, you got your Julio Jones, your Michael Thomas, I'm probably thinking I'm missing other receivers. I don't know, your Juju Smith-Schusters. I'm just trying to think of guys off of the cuff. But, you know, these guys are the top receivers in the league for a reason. You know, these guys have not only really good hands, they're not really fast, they can't just jump, but they also have great route running. They can, you know, make you go one way, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they got 10 yards of separation, and they're gone. So I mean, these are professionals from day one. And, you know, like I said, there's a reason that you work on all these route running drills in practice in college, and even as you know, as far back as like Pee Wee football in high school, because it's a key part to the game if you're a receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, we welcome your comments, so be sure to drop them by here. Luis Melendez, Chris, thanks for the soccer picks. You're looking good.
And we had a nice 3-0 day in the free picks. We caught a nice plus 360 on the Ajax Atalanta draw with the both teams scoring in the premium area. So today was a very good day for the Champions League.
Absolutely. All right, here on the drive-thru, we'll take you top of the hour. A lot of picks coming. Let's go ahead and get the show rolling here and welcome Alex Smart. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium, where he performs very well. Nearly, it looks like about 1,100 units of profit year to date. Alex, how are things going? And what was your take from this Bear-Rams game? I just looked at the receivers, just issues there, and also quarterback issues, but that offense is just lacking there.
Well, you know, Trubisky and Foles have done absolutely nothing this year. I mean, neither one is looking like a top-tier quarterback, and I think, I don't know, the jinx in Chicago just continues. The offense can't move, it can't flow properly, and you can tell they're out of sync all the way around. And I wouldn't say the Rams' offense is much better, but once again, it was one of those games. It seems like in the NFL this year, either we've got these explosive games or these sleepers. And last night was a sleeper.
Yeah, it definitely was. And of course, Alex, I get your thoughts here on the Seattle team. We saw Arizona with the comeback. We know the Seattle defense has been a little leaky, giving up a lot of yards. All it took was one mistake, and it cost him that Russell Wilson interception. How do you see the Seattle Seahawks team moving forward? Do you see any chance for that defense getting better?
No, well, they've had all kinds of chances, and it looks like the defense isn't better. And is that a championship team? They're exciting to watch. I mean, they get a lot of accolades from the media, but to me, they're not a championship team. They're not even worth a futures ticket. That might disappoint some people, but it's just the way I look at it.
Chris, how do you assess this Seattle Seahawks team? Yeah, they've been pulling out games, but when you look at the defensive column, it's not very good, and kind of bit them on the butt here against Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw a statistic in that Arizona game that since the beginning of last year, they're 14-2 in one-score games. Well, you still have to play some form of defense to be in a one-score game, and even in a shootout, you got to be able to get a couple stops here and there. And we just saw, you can get stops, but at the end of the day, it's all about execution as well. You see Zane Gonzalez missed a 41-yard kick after Russell Wilson throws his third interception of the game, and you think, oh man, Russell Wilson, he's not going to, let this one slip out of his fingers twice. And then next thing you know, he airmails a pass, and Arizona gets the ball back and takes it back the other way. So at the end of the day, yes, you still have to, play some defense, but you also have to execute at the end of the day. And if, Seattle just didn't get it done there, they still have another 10 weeks to try to fix it. But at the end of the day, you still have to be able to do it, especially in the playoffs.
Absolutely. All right, Alex, you're going to come in with a college football play here with your show pick as we got Ole Miss on the road here facing Vanderbilt. It's always those tricky games when you got these all offense, no defense teams facing a team that can't score. So it's an interesting one here. Ole Miss laying 17 on the road. Total sits here at 64.
Yeah, we've got a situation here. We're not even 100% sure the game's going to go forward. They're saying it's going to go forward, but But bottom line here is Vanderbilt, since October 12th, has been essentially off, since they haven't played Missouri. And they had this issue with the COVIDs. And everybody's supposed to be healthy this week. And now they've had some rest. Or everybody that was supposed to be in that game against Missouri is healthy. They've had some rest now. And other than whatever happens with contact tracing, blah, 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 we have an intact team. We have a team that may be not as bad as some of the pundits think they are. And I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying, we have to look at the spread here. My line is closer to 13.5, 14, on an opener. And so that means we've got 2 to 3 points in leverage, in my opinion. And, all I can say is that I know it doesn't look like a great bet to the average bettor, but you have to remember we're playing averages here over the long term. And, we want to be able to, add to our bankrolls. And we'll call this the ugly Betty play of the week, and it is a pretty ugly game. And we're going to take the points with Vanderbilt. Just plug your noses and don't hope for the best. This is not a bad bet, actually.
All right, Alex Smart says take Vanderbilt plus 17 against Ole Miss. Of course, Chris, we've looked at Ole Miss's numbers after that Alabama game. The offense kind of took a few steps back. They're not putting up those points as many points.
Yeah, I think the straw that kind of broke the camel's back for me with Ole Miss was that game. I'm just trying to remember who it was against. I think it was against Arkansas, where Ole Miss's quarterback threw 6 interceptions against a Razorback defense that was, for lack of a better term, inept for most of last season, and that still let Georgia off the hook in the opening week of the year. As far as this one goes, I mean, I am a little bit weary about the Vanderbilt offense, but again, they haven't played a team Ole Miss that doesn't play a lick of defense. I was leaning more towards the under coming into this game just because I don't see it being an overly high scoring game, and we've seen, we saw Ole Miss have their higher scoring games earlier in the year, and now I think the numbers are starting to trend down. But I definitely can see Vanderbilt keeping this one within 17 points at the end of the day. I think this could be this is definitely a viable play.
Yeah, and of course, Alex, one of the ways Vanderbilt can stay in this game is kind of shorten the game because they know they've got some issues, and they always do. Whenever they rebuild their inexperience, they have to kind of slow the game down, limit possessions, run the clock down. But one thing you look at that's really glaring here is the Rebels are allowing almost 6 yards a carry. And I don't care if it's Vanderbilt. An SEC offensive line should be able to block and create holes for the Commodores in this game, at least for them to move the chains in their methodical way they used to do things. Just have these long drives, just first down on 3 plays, convert those third and shorts, and there'll be some holes for them to run through.
Absolutely. I can see Mason just slowing this game, trying to slow this game down as much as he can. Ole Miss just plays wide open. It's the most crazy kind of football you ever wanted to see. It's like a schoolyard football. I mean, with SEC emblems all over the place and, the actual respectful Ole Miss logo there. But, I hate to see, I don't have a lot of respect for Ole Miss, and they're not trying to fix any of their defensive problems. They're just out there just slinging the ball away. Hey, it's great. It's exciting football, but it's horrible football. And Vanderbilt might have to actually put 14, 21 points on the board, and they might lose, by 14 points. That kind of thing. And the under does look kind of good there because looking at the numbers, too, once again, if Vanderbilt can slow this game down enough, absolutely, you got a good under wager there.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at this game. I was looking at under 64 because I think Vanderbilt will have to slow this. And they know, looking at the film, the way Ole Miss plays, they snap it fast. They got to keep that offense off the field. And sometimes when they're off the field, some of these players are used to playing fast. They get a little stale, right? They're not used to standing around on the sidelines. They come out. It's not the same flow. And I think that's something that Vanderbilt can really exploit, especially that run defense for the Rebels, which is terrible. Alex, I had a question for you. Something about money management. What type of advice can you give some of the novice bettors out there who are there's betting markets are opening up throughout the states in here, and there's a lot of new people entering the marketplace. What type of advice do you give some of these people?
Well, if you're just a weekend warrior and you're just playing weekend football, for kicks and giggles type thing, we don't worry too much about your bankroll. But if you're in this for the long term and you're constantly, attacking the books and you're trying to make a profit, and you actually, we're all trying to win no matter what. But if you're really taking this seriously, you probably don't want to hear the kind of percentages I'm talking about and the kind of money you need to sort of keep on the sidelines in your bankroll. But, from a conservative standpoint, let's just say $10,000. Let's just say $10,000 and keep your wagers. A lot of people won't like this. Keep your wagers to 1% to 2%. So, per wager. And from my experience, just don't change. You can feel stronger about a certain bet, and you can say, oh yeah, I feel strong about this bet. But really, long term, if you just keep your wagers even all the time, the percentage wise, at the end of the year or the season, your odds are much better of making a profit.
All right, that's Alex Smart here joining us here on the drive-through. Of course, Alex, as we approach the bottom of the hour, we got a lot of action going on. We got a game from baseball today, but a lot of action from college football. We have, of course, Big Ten and the Mountain West in play this week again. Of course, Pac-12 coming in action next week. So what do you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Well, I'm going to go after the Big Ten finally this week. I stayed away last week. I just wanted to watch some games, and I don't think anything surprised me at all. And we didn't see Duffelbag Micah for any big bets this week, so I figure he'll hit something this week too, and we'll keep an eye out on that. And I'll have a big card this week. I'm already looking at close to 14 different games, but whether I'll pull the trigger on all of them or not, it's a whole different story.
All right, guys, check him out, Alex Smart, over at Pig Dogs Premium. You see him there, nearly 1,100 units of profit documented. Why not pick up one of those long-term passes? He's got a 7-day pass, 30-day all sports pass. Now that we're into football, we'll have some football sprinkling during the week. Thursday, Friday action this week. Next week, there'll be some more, as well as the MAC comes into play. So be sure to pick up a long-term package over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up Alex Smart. He'll get you in the win column. All right, Alex, as always, great having your show. Have a great week, and we'll knock it out again in a couple days.
For sure. Take care, guys. See ya.
All right, everybody. Alex Smart here on the drive-through here, joined by my co-host Chris Ruffalo. Hey, Chris, I like this matchup we're talking about. It's a good one here. Memphis at Cincinnati. Really early game, noon Eastern time. It's going to get the proper coverage here, ESPN. Cincinnati laying 6.5 for 7. Total sits here at 55. Of course, Cincinnati, a strong defensive team. And, they got to face these offensive clubs in the AAC, and they passed the test last week. Bearcats holding teams to under 300 yards a game, but we know Memphis has got some experience there at quarterback, but their defense gives them a lot of yardage. What gives here?
Yeah, we definitely saw Cincinnati wake up and smack SMU in the mouth, especially on the road. I mean, SMU's not used to seeing that physical type of football, and look what happened. Cincinnati was the one that was doing all the scoring. They held a high-octane SMU team that at one point was leading the nation in total yardage production, held them to 13 points. And I mean, you look at what Memphis has done this season: 41 points against Temple, 50 against UCF. They even, they held SMU to 30, but they only scored 27. They put up 37 against Arkansas State. This is a high-power Memphis team, and I'd even argue that they're a higher-power offense than SMU. But to tell you the truth, I think the result's still going to be the same. I think Cincinnati's going to be the physical team that Memphis is really yet to see this season. And, I think Cincinnati's going to get the job done by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, I can't argue there. I was looking at that side as well, at the Cincinnati side. I like defensive teams, and they got an experienced quarterback there. And I definitely look at that Cincinnati team, especially when you look at a Memphis team that's given up 615 yards a game in conference action. That is just too much there. I mean, I just can't. I know 7's attractive, 6.5's attractive, but I can't take the points of Memphis. It's just.
Yeah, it just it would make sense if you were just looking at this from like an offensive standpoint. Who's going to score more points? Most likely, it's just going to be Memphis if you're just looking at that. But I mean, like I said, Memphis has yet to play a defense like this season. Yeah, they played Temple last time out, and Temple's the closest thing that you could see to a defensive team that's been on their schedule so far. Yes, they still hung up 41 points. But Cincinnati's one of the top 10 teams in the country for a reason. They smash you in the mouth, and they're non-apologetic about it. So I think this is a game that we're going to see that SMU's was no joke, and I think Memphis is going to find that out firsthand.
Right, that Temple team, they're rebuilding on defense. They lost a lot of starters, so it's going to take some time for Temple to get back to that defensive physical play that we've seen in years past. But they go through it about once every 4 years. They have a lot of starters leave the program, and they got to rebuild. And this is what they're going through this season. So when you look at Temple, you better remember this is not the Temple you've seen the past 2 seasons. All right, continue here on the drive-through. I'm joined with Chris Ruffalo. Let's see, we got a commenter here. It says Rays moneyline or Dodgers run line. Well, we're going to get to the Dodgers and Rays pick. We got to pick on that game. We'll get to that one a little later, guys. Don't forget, on the drive-through, we recap every play. So if you join us mid-show, be sure to stay tuned for the end of the show, because we'll recap all the picks on the show. All right, continuing here on the drive-through, it's time for Chris Ruffalo to step up the play. You're going to give us a play here from the Dolphins and Rams. Rams making that long trip out to Miami. That's a trek here on a short week here. And, of course, it's the Rams laying 4 points. They're the favorites in this one, Chris.
Yeah, and Tony, you kind of made my first point for me. I mean, look, how many times we said when we talked about this with the LA-Washington game a couple weeks ago, how the Rams are going to be making multiple cross-country trips back and forth, basically seems like week after week. And, the Dolphins making the big story here with Tua Tagovailoa making his first NFL start. They had an extra week to prepare for this. And, we talked off air, and, we've even talked about it before that, I was saying, okay, well, maybe Tua should have had a little bit more time in that Jets game to sort of get his feet wet. And, maybe LA wasn't the right team to start against, considering Aaron Donald's on the other side. But the Dolphins are still top 5 in the league in sacks allowed this season. They've only given up 10 sacks through 5 games this season. 6 games, excuse me. And, it's still, like I said, a cross-country road trip on a short week. Playing a Miami team that's playing with confidence under Brian Flores, it's a tall task. And, the Rams have a solid defense with Donald and Jalen Ramsey. But, again, we said it earlier, this is still a Los Angeles team that can stall offensively. And, that secondary looked a lot better than I think it actually is last night against the Bears. I think Tua Tagovailoa going high in the draft was no accident. He's accurate. He can fit the ball through a tight window. He can move outside the pocket. He can shift it with his legs. Like I said, the Dolphins 10 sacks in 6 games. This is going to be a game where you're going to see protection for Tua in the pocket. They're going to give him the best chance to succeed. I think, they wouldn't start him in this situation unless they thought they had something and they thought that they had their franchise quarterback was ready to go here because Ryan Fitzpatrick was still healthy. I think Miami's got a shot here, so I'm going to take the shot with Miami and the points in a game that they actually could win outright, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. When you look at the Rams' points production here, they put 24 on the Bears. Yes, they had 16 against the 49ers. They did put 30 on the Redskins, but only 17 against the Giants. We have seen some flat performances from this Rams offense.
Yeah, we have, and it even goes as far back as, I don't want to dwell on past seasons, but it goes back to the Super Bowl when they lost 13-3 to New England. They had a high-power offense, and granted, some of the pieces have interchanged since then, but this has been an offense that, under Jared Goff, has had the tendency to stall from time to time. Games where you think, the defense is on the other side is going to have a hard time stopping this Rams offense, and the Rams go out and put up 10 or 14 points and hope to God that's enough. Sean McVay was supposed to be the quarterback whisperer, the quarterback guru coming into this, and he had a good first season with Jared Goff, and then they made it to the Super Bowl, but then they had a flat season last year, and while it's been somewhat okay this year, those offensive issues are still always going to be around, and even with receivers like a Cooper Kupp and a Robert Woods and Tyler Higbee at tight end and even Darrell Henderson in the backfield. This is an offensive unit that still should at least have consistent production, and for whatever reason, they can stall at any time, and that's why taking the Rams is always going to be a risk. We saw it also earlier this season against Washington, a game that we thought the Rams were a shoo-in as a double-digit favorite, even on the road, and they won, 16-7? So the Rams are no sure thing, I think, as far as I'm concerned this season.
Yeah, and of course, there's no film on Tua. So what do you think about a first-half play?
I can definitely see a first half play. I can see a first half play would be viable. I do think that maybe you might want to lean towards the first half under. I think you are going to see Tua throw the ball a little bit. You are going to see the Dolphins move it, but you're also not going to see them just throw him into like a bootleg and hope to God that he can run and scramble out of trouble. I think they're going to be very cautious with him early on. They're gonna try to keep him in the pocket, keep him protected, get him to get his feet wet, get a little bit comfortable, and then they're really going to unleash him as the game goes on.
I agree with you there. All right, here, joined by Chris Ruffalo. His play is taking Miami Dolphins plus the 4 against the Rams. All right, Chris, as we approach the bottom of the hour, what do you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
So I'm going to have the winning side tonight in the World Series Game 6. We're going to find out if we're done tonight, if this is the last game, or if we're going to potentially have a Game 7 tomorrow. I'm going to have it up for $25 in the premium area. But everyone keep your eyes peeled because I am going to have a Champions League package posted tonight, probably later on in the evening, probably around maybe 10 o'clock Eastern time or so. We're going to have that posted. We had a solid day today again, like you heard at the top of the show. 3-0 in the free picks. We had plus 460 in our winners today. 2 and 3, but again, we still had a huge profit, almost 200 units, and again, like Tony keeps mentioning, get those longer term packages. Those are going to be your best value. But again, keep your eyes peeled on my page tonight because we're going to put some winners in your pocket.
That's right, guys. Check out Chris Ruffalo over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of those 30-day all sports pass now available. You'll get a lot of football coverage in there. Of course, we talked about the Pac-12 and MAC come into play. Of course, Champions League, Premier Soccer, that's going on. It seems like every week of the year, and there's something going on in soccer. They don't take any breaks, do they?
No, they never do, and that's part of the reason why I love them. And you know what? The other thing is, also get on those packages because I'm hearing that the MAC is going to go on Tuesdays and Wednesdays this season. So you're going to have MAC football Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially some Thursday football, all the way Friday, Saturday into the NFL and Sunday and Monday. So you're going to have something pretty much every day up until college basketball starts.
Absolutely, guys. So check it out. Chris Ruffalo over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of those long-term passes. He'll get you in the winner's circle. All right, Chris, let's take a look at a game here. What's rivalries? Two rivals getting together. Michigan State and Michigan. Current line has Michigan favored 24. There's 24.5. It's early in the week, so there's going to be a wide variance in these lines. Totals about 53. And Michigan went into Minnesota, got the win. Remember, you don't have the fans in there, allowed the capacity crowd in there, so it's a little different experience. So be careful when you look at these road games, all right? Because you got to know how many fans are attending these. It's not the same atmosphere whatsoever. Of course, Michigan State coaching change. They've had trouble running the ball for several seasons, and of course, you thought the defense would hold up. Well, the defense didn't give a lot of yards, but they give a lot of points in their loss to Rutgers. How do you see this one?
Yeah, they definitely did. And I mean, you look at Michigan, and I was one of the people that had Minnesota on the money line. I think we talked about it a little bit in the roundup from yesterday. But Minnesota had the taste smacked out of their mouths by Michigan in that opener, and you go back to Ann Arbor, and Tony, like you said, there's not going to be 100,000 screaming fans for Michigan at home here. You're going to see a rivalry game, and this is usually a rivalry game that is very close. A lot of the last few games have been decided by 10 points or less, except for last year where Michigan won 44-10. The thing is, though, a lot of the Michigan State Spartans that are on this team remember that 44-10 loss. And, a lot of them were humiliated after that loss to Rutgers last week. I think Michigan's heads are going to be a little bit big after that win over Minnesota. I do think Jim Harbaugh is going to have a game plan here, but 24 points in an in-state rivalry game between Michigan and Michigan State, that's an absolute ton. I'm leaning towards the points and the Spartans in this one.
All right, Chris Rivello says go ahead and take the points in this rivalry game between Michigan and Michigan State. All right, guys, this is the drive-through. We're up until we start Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, breaking down all the primetime games, and we'll have that Dodger-Rays pick for you a little later in the show, as well as a bunch of football, as we have a lot of football coverage coming up here. And let's go ahead and welcome to the show our buddy Al Ninos. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. And, of course, Al, how are things going? And, of course, we know what your eyes will be on at 8 Eastern time as your Dodgers look to looking to get their first World Series in your lifetime, right?
No, actually, I was one last time they won. So, yeah, first one I'll be able to enjoy, yeah.
Well, let's just say the first one that you were actually weren't in diapers for.
So, yeah, that's more accurate, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. And of course, Al, we'll talk some Champion League in a little bit. But your thoughts on the Ram team? I know you spent time in Los Angeles, Lakers, Dodgers, and of course the Rams. What was your assessment here on this performance yesterday as they cover against the Bears? And you gave the under on the show, and the under came in.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed I didn't give that one out as the premium play because I backed the Bears as my side. But anyways, about the Rams, I had actually asked my mom that came to visit for my son's birthday for a couple Raiders shirts. She flew in from LA, but she came in with a couple Rams shirts instead. I guess it's something like the jokes they have, ordering something off Wish or something like that. But anyways, that's what we get sometimes. And yeah, because I had a Raiders shirt. I have no idea where it went though. But anyways, so yeah, on to these games that we're looking at next. But the Rams, yeah, they looked good against Chicago, or I guess it's more appropriate to say Chicago looked absolutely horrible that game. Anytime it looked like they were getting something going, they completely gave it up, and yeah, it was just bad. Pretty much from start to finish.
The interception in the end as they're driving, it was just bad. I don't like the receiving core. I don't think they run good patterns. All right, Al, you're going to be looking at a college football game here, Oklahoma and Texas Tech. It's one of the primetime games on Fox. Oklahoma on the road laying 15. Total sits here at 68.5 points.
Yeah, pretty high total, but I think rightfully so. Oklahoma's great offense. Their QBs look great. Texas Tech, not so great on defense, but they've been involved in some pretty high-scoring games too. They lost a really high-scoring one to Texas, 63-56. And I think we're going to see something maybe not quite as high-scoring as Oklahoma's defense might slow them down a bit more than that. But I do think that Texas Tech does enough to help us get over this number. And yeah, I'm going over and trying to give you this one as soon as possible because it's already gone up from at least 66.5 all the way up to 68.5 now. And, well, I do think it's going to go way over the 70. I still would rather get it sooner rather than waiting for it to go over that 70. So, yeah, taking this game to go over.
You know, Chris, no surprise, the past several years, seeing Oklahoma games going over, with the money going over. It just seems that with Oklahoma, the offense and of course the defense seems to get tired in the second half and give up a lot of points. A lot of times Oklahoma fails to cover because they give up a ton of fourth quarter points. How do you see this one here in Oklahoma and Texas Tech?
Well, I think Oklahoma and Texas Tech teach the alphabet with 25 letters because there's absolutely no D in either of these programs. These teams like to give up points in bunches, and they like to give up a lot of them and play absolutely no defense. So I think Spencer Rattler finally kind of woke up with that Oklahoma offense, and for whatever reason, as much as Oklahoma tends to, have players go into the draft, they always seem to reload that receiving core. They've still got a solid running back in Trey Sermon. They're going to have a lot of talent for this Oklahoma team. And Texas Tech, well, look at Texas Tech. It's perennial. They lost Allen, or they replaced Allen Bowman at quarterback. They replaced him with Utah State transfer Henry Colombi. Colombi comes in, helps Texas Tech go for 34 points and win over West Virginia. So I think the change of quarterback maybe put in a little bit of shot of confidence into Texas Tech. And I think we are going to see this one go over. I could even see this one get closer to 80. I could see a 41-38 kind of game, something where Texas Tech has another heartbreak. But again, I see it being a high-scoring game as well.
Al, you're going to like this trend here. The over has gone over 8 of their past 9 meetings.
Yeah, I do. I mean, as Chris said, I do expect this one to go way over this number. And but again, you still want to get the best number, no matter how high you think it's going to go.
All right, here on the drive-through, joined here with El Nino. Said, I'm going to throw you a question here from the chat. If the Dodgers win tonight, who do you think will be the MVP? He's suggesting Turner. Scott S.
So many of them have played so well. It's hard to say, really. I mean, seen Betts make some great plays. Turner's been hitting the ball really well. He's made some great plays too. He's on defense as well. And Seager's had a great postseason getting them there. It's just a tough call. I mean, I guess we're gonna have to see who comes up big tonight. I think we'll might split the difference there.
Yeah, Asher D likes Mookie and Kelly Ryan likes Kershaw. So we'll see. Maybe if this gets to Game 7, then he sees some action. We'll see what happens there. But there we go.
Kershaw sees some action in Game 7. I think he'll get us a good chance to make his case for it too. But let's hope it doesn't get there.
I hope not. But you gotta go a little more than 6 innings, though. I mean, that's the time. You're gonna get an MVP. You got to at least throw a complete game in there, right, Chris? You just.
Well, we've seen Madison Bumgarner go in there, but he's also had 2 starts, and then he had a 5-inning save in Game 7. But I think. I definitely think Mookie Betts and Justin Turner are 2 viable options. And I think, I might even put a little bit, just for fun, in the event that the series goes 7, I'm going to put a little bit on Randy Arozarena to get a World Series MVP nod as well. I think, but definitely tonight, I think if the Dodgers win this one, I'd probably lean towards Justin Turner.
All right, that's Chris Ruffalo here, joined with Alaninos with his pick here, taking Oklahoma and Texas over the total of 68.5 points. Before we get to Champions League, Al, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium? It's having a really good NFL season.
Yeah, unfortunately, had a couple of picks slip lately in the NFL, but hoping for a big week this week. And I still got my play on the side and total of Game 6 of the World Series tonight. So if you want to check those out, they are up on the premium side. And let's take a look at these Champions League games. I think one might make it to the premium side as well.
All right, so check out Al Nina's over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of his 30 days all sports pass. Get all plays from Al for 30 days. That would include NFL, college football, and of course he puts in those soccer games, Champions League, international games, as well as the Premier League. So check him out over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, continuing here we'll keep Al here for this segment. Champions League, we'll start with Chris. Give us your rundown on today's actions before we get into tomorrow.
I think we had the exciting match of the day we had that pegged was Anta rallying from.
Oh, we lost out. Oh, there he goes.
And, Atletico Madrid had a 3-2 draw against Salzburg. We had Manchester City shut out Marseille 3-0. I think the shock for me today, though, was Bayern Munich. They had to kind of grind one out against Lokomotiv Moscow 2-1. I think that was a bit of a shock. And when I tell you yesterday, I said, be wary of Shakhtar Donetsk, and they held Inter Milan to a scoreless draw. So it's going to be an interesting group to watch. And this was a great match day, I think.
Absolutely. All right, let's get on with the action here for Wednesday. We'll start with Juventus and Barcelona.
Yeah, real quick, just wanted to congratulate Chris on that Shakhtar pick. I don't think many people were on that side, so good call there.
Sure.
But yeah, Barcelona Juventus should be a great game. Couple pretty concerning injuries, but of course the biggest one here is Ronaldo still out with COVID. And I think that will be the edge that Barcelona needs to get the job done here. You can still get them at a pick'em at about minus 120. Yeah, the over doesn't look like too bad a play either. It looks like PK is going to be out too. He's suspended for this one, so that should help the over there too. Yeah, but my stronger play is definitely on Barcelona to pick them. I think that's a pretty safe play. Worst case scenario should be a draw here, I think, and it's a game they should win.
All right, Chris, how do you see Juventus and Barcelona?
Yeah, Ronaldo being out of the lineup is huge for Juventus, but this is still, like I said, a Juventus team that is talented as can be. Barcelona, I've said it before, there's still something going on with this team that we're not aware of. I mean, there's some serious dissension in this team that it started with Messi and the higher ups in the saying that's out. And then they couldn't work on a release, and now they're sitting 12th with 7 points, which is, unacceptable by Barcelona standards. And Juventus, yes, they're missing Ronaldo, but they still have Alvaro Morata, they still have Paulo Dybala, they still have Aaron Ramsey, Juan Cuadrado. This is a very good Juventus team, even without Ronaldo in the lineup. So I could see them giving Barcelona fits, but I just think there's a ton of talent on both sides. I could see there being a score draw in this one. So I'm looking at the draw. I think at plus 220. I think I was seeing it at. I gotta. Plus 245. So I like the draw plus 245.
245. All right, to L. How do you see Manchester United RP Leipzig?
Again, this should be another pretty competitive game. Leipzig's been one of the better German teams. Again, Man U came up big last week. I think they keep their momentum rolling. And you could get them at, let me see the price for the pick. I'm sorry, I see the money line is at plus 125 if you want to take a shot on that. But again, as I said, this might be a pretty competitive game. So the pick might not be a bad price. I'm trying to pull that up if you want to go and give your take on it, Chris.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're going to see an entertaining game. I think Leipzig is going to be no pushover. This is still a team that's leading the Bundesliga with 13 points in 5 games, and that's saying a lot considering how well Bayern Munich dominated the Bundesliga last year, and Leipzig lost Timo Werner to Chelsea in the offseason. He was their star striker. I think he had 31 goals last year. We see United playing well domestically within the Premier League. But, I still think that Leipzig is going to give them all they can handle. I could see, I ain't going to sound like a broken record, but I think this one could be a draw as well. I think Leipzig is going to be up to the task. They haven't had many opportunities to play top teams in Europe for anything of consequence. So I definitely think this is going to be a game that Leipzig's up for.
All right, Christopher Flo and El Ninos here. Join us on the drive-through. Any other games of the action, El, you're looking at here for Champions League for Wednesday?
Yeah, there was a couple good ones. PSG laying 2 goals might be a bit of a tall order, but might not be a terrible look either. Lazio at minus, they're getting plus half a goal at minus 109. I think they got a pretty decent chance to keep that one close. Dortmund laying a goal and a half maybe, minus 109. Yeah, these are some tougher matchups. I like the card today a lot better, but yeah, I do like that Barcelona one. And the draws aren't too bad either, as the draws that Chris gave aren't too bad either, as I do think they will be pretty competitive, close games. But if I were to pick a side, as I said, I'd take the ones I took, Barcelona and Man U just on the pick'ems.
All right, Chris, and you, any other matchups here on Champions League for Wednesday?
One I'm definitely looking at. Don't be surprised if I know Al said Lazio, but don't be surprised if Club Brugge makes a game out of this. This is a team from Belgium that's had plenty of Champions League experience. They're not going to be any pushover. Lazio has Ciro Immobile, the leading scorer from Serie A last season, but Bruges can get after it, and they can make it tough for you. So I may look at the plus a half a goal there. I'm also looking. I was looking at Zenit St. Petersburg, but Dortmund might be too much for Zenit to handle. Don't get me wrong, St. Petersburg's going to be a team, another one to keep an eye out for. You're going to get some value with them, but I just think Dortmund with Erling Haaland, and he's going to be a stud. He's only 19 or 20 years old. He's going to be the wave of the future for I think he's Norwegian, but he's going to be the wave of the future for soccer. And Sevilla and Rennes, I think, is definitely going to be a tight game as well. These are two teams that flew under the radar in Spain and France, respectively. And, I think that's going to be sort of a tighter game where, I think both sides would settle for a point. But, again, it's going to be competitive as well because they're going to have a hard time getting points, I think, anywhere else. So I'd expect both teams to be really up for that game as well.
All right, Chris Ruffalo and Al Ninos with your Champion League picks for Wednesday. Al, as always, great having your show. Have a great night. We'll be talking tomorrow.
Have a good one, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, everybody, Al Ninos and Chris Ruffalo here on the drive-thru. Guys, still a lot more picks coming. We're going to get that Rays and Dodgers pick, so make sure you hang on. And don't forget to smash that like button, help our audience grow. We appreciate that very, very much. All right, continue here on the drive-thru. We've got, looks like we're going to go into Rod Zawacki. Rod Zawacki is going to go into some Mountain West action for today. Rod, how are things going, and how did your soccer plays go from Champions for Tuesday?
I did so. I think I won one and lost a couple, pushed on another on that tie because I didn't get it at 3.5. Most of the time this morning it was at 3. Man City to win, and under 3 I didn't see no 3.5 this morning. I seen 3s, but no 3.5s.
All right, Rod, of course, you're wearing that Dolphins cap. I can tell you Chris came on board here on the show with the show pick with the Dolphins +4 against the Rams.
That Rams D is for real. The Dolphins are definitely going to have their hands full this week. But if that offensive line can stand up and give Tua some time, he'll find guys downfield. So it's definitely got a good shot.
You'll see.
The Dolphins are definitely better than the Bears, and it was 20-10. So their Dolphins offense way better than the Bears offense. So.
Yeah, the receivers. I mean, the receivers just can't. There's no speed, no deception in their patterns. And when I was looking at the receivers very closely because I noticed a lot of times when people bag the quarterbacks, they don't look at the receivers. And so if these receivers can't get open, they don't have really good routes. It's hard for the quarterback because then you force something in, it's going to get picked. And the defenders know exactly how these guys run their routes. You will go on film and you see these receivers run routes. It's okay. This is what he's done. He's done the same route, the same way for the entire 6 weeks. Guess what? There's no deception, and these receivers know these defenders know exactly how to defend these guys. That's what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's nothing. You have to change it up. You can't stay the same thing and do the same thing over and over each week. You got to change it up because you know that everybody's watching everybody on game field, so you can't do the same thing over and over. Can't become monotonous doing the same thing.
Yeah, that gets very frustrating. All right, Rod, you're going to be looking at Mountain West action Friday night. Hawaii and Wyoming. Hawaii 1-0 on the year, they go out on the road and they get a win at Fresno, 34-19, 552 yards. So I guess Graham didn't screw the offense up much as he takes over as head coach. How do you see this one?
No, he didn't. He didn't screw up the offense at all. The offense. Looks like they just took right over where they ended off last year, firing on all cylinders. Chevan Cordero, he went 20 for 31. He threw for 229 yards, but his legs, man, can he ever run? He led the team with 116 rushing yards, scored 2 touchdowns himself. So that offense is really good. The Hawaii defense, no, I'd say they're about average. And then looking at the Wyoming side, I know, right? And maybe a little below average.
All right.
But looking at Miami, all right, Wyoming here. Wyoming coming off a loss, a tough loss for them. They lose their starting quarterback on the first drive, broken leg. He's going to be out a while. But surprisingly, his backup Levi Williams came in and he played not too bad, not horribly in being thrown into a spot that he definitely wasn't expected to be in. That's for sure. For me, when I looked at it and I look at these numbers, that offense of Hawaii is just going to be too much for Wyoming. Wyoming's defense is definitely, I'd say, better than Hawaii's defense. They like to Wyoming's defense will slow down the ball, but will their offense be able to keep up with Hawaii's scoring? The weak spot on Wyoming's defense is their passing, and Hawaii is going to be able to tee off and pass the ball. Even if they stop the run, they're still going to move the ball down the field through the air. And I see Hawaii easily covering this 1.5, 2 in spots.
All right, Rod Sawaki says take Hawaii minus 1.5. What say you, Chris? As Hawaii on the road here against Wyoming, you always think about it here. We got some cold weather here in the West, but as long as it's dry and there's no wind, I guess it's be okay for Hawaii.
Yeah, it's probably going to be cold for some of the guys from Hawaii coming over to the continental U.S. But you know what? Wyoming being favored against Nevada in that game last week kind of made me shake my head a little bit because I thought Wyoming did a lot of retooling on the defense. They lost 3 coaches from that staff. And, you know, they were favored on the road against a Nevada team that did a little bit more and was actually looking like a pretty good team and was looking like the better team. And you know, we cashed in on them. And, you know, Wyoming now having to take on a Hawaii team that can move the ball, that can air it out, that can score points in bunches. I hate to break it to them, but Wyoming gives up points in bunches as well. So I'm with Rod on this one completely. I'm on Hawaii as well.
You know, dating back to last season, when you look at Hawaii, they've won what looks like 6 of their past 7 games, and they've beaten some good teams. They beaten BYU, they beat San Diego State, which is good defensively. It was not a strong Army team last year, but Hawaii played well. That's why their coach got to get the job at Washington State.
Yeah, Hawaii's good.
Yeah, Hawaii playing really good football. All right, Rod, as we approach the top of the hour, why should everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Well, I got the one play in the World Series, Game 6. Got yourself the winner. Don't miss out on it, $24.99.
All right, guys, check it out. Pig Dogs Premium, Rod Zawaki's World Series play. So you want to pick that up, or why not get one of his long-term packages? He got a 7-day, a 30-day all sports pass. We're into football here. Get all of his plays from football. He'll sprinkle in some Premier League and some soccer plays. Did you hear him on the morning show with those picks? So be sure to get on board with Rod Zawacki over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, Rod, it's always great having you show. We'll be waiting for the end of the show when you put it that birdcage pick. We'll be ready for that at the end of the show, Rod.
You bet. You and Chris have yourself a good night. I'll see you in the morning, Chris. And watch out. There'll definitely be a prop bet after in the corner.
All right, in the corner. All right, Rod Zawacki here. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, Rod, you can check him out in the morning show with Mitch, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It's Mitch, it's Chris, and it's Brian Bittler. And there's another new face in there. We'll on the show as well, if you've noticed. Right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. Ann Shore, she was nailing her totals on the weekend. She was nailing from what I'm hearing, did really well with college football. She's doing really well with the NFL, and definitely a welcome addition to the Pick Dogs family. Absolutely, and especially on the morning show as well.
All right, guys. So check it out, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, let's take a look at this. We're back in the AAC, man. This is this conference puts up some really entertaining games. UCF on the road against Houston, with Dylan Gabriel against Clayton Tune. We got UCF laying 2.5. This might be the highest total of the year here. 83, 82.5 in some places. How do you see this one?
I said to this when I was writing this game for Sports Chat Plays, I don't think you can set this total high enough. I can easily see this game getting to 100 points. I could, because yes, Clayton Tune is a solid quarterback for Houston, but he's also prone to making some mistakes. Thing is, that doesn't change the fact that this is a high-power Houston offense led by Dana Holgerson, who's finally starting to implement his practice into the Cougars offense. On the other side, Tony, you mentioned it, Dylan Gabriel and UCF. Doesn't matter who's on that team for whatever reason. It just seems like they're just churning out points, and they put up 40 points consistently. And this is a team that can hang 20 on you in the blink of an eye in less than half a quarter. So we've seen it happen to better teams than Houston. We've also seen, like I said, crazy point totals, but this might take the cake this season. I think I do think that 82.5 or 83 is the highest that we have seen or that we're probably going to see. I can definitely see this one hitting 95 or 100 by the end of it, if not more. I could see a total close to something we saw with Texas Tech and Texas earlier this season where we had, 119 points. This could be something along that line.
Points aplenty, says Chris Ruffalo here on this one between UCF and Houston. So keep an eye on it. It should be a really entertaining game. Of course, Dylan Gabriel, past 2 games, each game he's had 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. I know he had issues last year with playing on the road, but I think he's fixed that. Or maybe because there's less crowd noise. That might have something to do with it, because Gabriel had some struggles last year on the road.
We said that this is kind of the COVID era of football. It's going to benefit some guys. It's going to hurt others that kind of relish playing at home. But it's only, like you said, Dylan Gabriel, one of these quarterbacks that's benefited from the lack of a true road environment, and it's sort of been the great equalizer for lack of a better term this season. Not having fans in the stands, but you know what? That's not going to change the fact these two teams are going to put points on the board on Saturday.
No doubt about that. All right, that was Chris Ruffalo joining me here on the drive. There's still a lot more picks coming. We're going to get that Rays Dodgers pick for game number 6 of the World Series. Some NFL, some college, a lot more cappers ready to join us here. We're going to go and bring another one in here. It's Shane Mickle. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Shane, how are things going today? And of course, I got to touch this Golden Gophers. What's the mood like out there in Minnesota right now?
Yeah, the mood is interesting out here. We had a lot of coaches. 2 of our offensive linemen. Our 3 of our specialists were out, but I mean that's not an excuse this year. It'll be really interesting this weekend against Maryland. That was a really surprising line.
Yeah, it should be really interesting here to see with the Golden Gophers how they move forward with this with their season suffering that loss at the beginning. All right, let's take a look here at your show pick, Shane. You're going to be looking at NFL, the Patriots and the Bills. Buffalo favored at home here 4, and there are some 3.5s in some places. Total sits at 43. Of course, will it be Cam Newton? Will it be Stidham? There's a lot of question marks there. How will Josh Allen? Will we see some improvement? His numbers have gone down a little bit. So interesting one here, Shane, between the Patriots and the Bills.
Yeah, it should be a really interesting game. Who would have thought, 3 years ago that the Bills would be favored by 4 over Bill Belichick-led Patriots, but here we are. The Patriots have not looked good, but you really can't ignore the way the offense has looked for the Bills the last couple weeks either. Over the last 3 games, they're only averaging 17 points a game. Josh Allen is missing a lot of open receivers that need to be made. I don't love the Patriots. They've looked terrible, but this is a complete fate of the Bills. I don't know how. You can lay 3.5, 4 points to them. I'm gonna take out with the Patriots here.
All right, Shane Mickle says go ahead and take the points. Patriots +4 against the Buffalo Bills. And Chris, we're looking here at the Patriots. Past 3 games, they're not even gaining 300 yards a game, 5.5 yards per pass attempt. We've talked about Cam Newton on the show, but looking over on the side with Josh Allen, his performance, how do you see this one?
Well, first, I'll tell Shane and everybody here, I'm a Patriots fan. I could have probably told you 3 years ago maybe the Bills would have been favored, maybe because Brady would have retired at this point. But that's another conversation for another day. But, as far as this one goes, Josh Allen, yes, he is missing receivers. And, he is looking like a different quarterback than what we saw from the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season. And, well, Cam Newton, he's playing like Cam Newton that we've seen, in years past where – he's going to be the guy to lead your team, but he's also the guy that, has to, do with his feet first and his arms second, which is not necessarily the trait you want from your starting quarterback. With that said, this was, as a Patriots fan, this is a game that scared me on the board. Normally I'm like, okay, well, I'll always give the Patriots a chance to win any game, but just something is about this year's Patriots team that just doesn't feel like it has in years past. There's skepticism. There's questions of, can Cam Newton find his receivers? Do we even have receivers that he can find? Like I've said it before, N'Keal Harry hasn't panned out to what he's expected to be. I can tell you, as a fan from that draft, I wanted DK Metcalf, but unfortunately Seattle got him a couple rounds later on. Julian Edelman, nowhere to be found. We've had to turn to a guy by the likes of Damian Bird to be able to get us out of trouble with the receiving core. I'm leaning more towards the under personally for this game, because just traditionally this is a low scoring, grinded out style of game. And, with Cam Newton under center, not many targets to throw to, I can definitely see New England taking another ground approach to this game. And if Josh Allen's going to keep missing his targets, it's going to be hard for Buffalo to put points on the board there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Shane, it when you look at film and you see how difficult it's been for Buffalo to defend the pass, and you're Belichick, what do you do if game plan wise when these Bills secondary, they're getting beat in the passing game, but you got a quarterback who's struggling throwing the football downfield?
I think your quarterback change. I think that's what you got to do here. It's pretty clear that Cam Newton, he's a run first quarterback. He's missing way too many throws. I think you got to make the change, and if it doesn't work out after a game or two, you can go back to Cam Newton. But you got to do something different, because clearly Cam Newton isn't the one that's going to be leading to the playoffs this year.
No, it doesn't look that way. And, so I saw something I haven't seen. Actually, Belichick consoling a quarterback who made a mistake. You've never seen that before, right? That's got to be a bad sign for Cam, right?
Yeah, he's normally the guy to just say, okay, you know what, we're moving on to the next guy. But you know what? It's just been that kind of year in Foxborough, and I think that's what we're starting to see acceptance of, is that, okay, maybe we're starting to see a bit of a changing of the guard in New England. And I think that Bill Belichick's probably not going to get fired. He's going to have to leave under his own volition. But again, I think this is going to be a tougher year than Patriots fans, myself included, are used to.
No doubt that bad. All right, here with go ahead, Shane.
It's interesting to see, maybe not Chris, but some Patriots fans I saw were calling for Belichick to be fired. After Rodgers had a bad week 2 weeks ago, they were saying they drafted Jordan Love. It's funny, all these teams with the success, seeing after one bad game, they're ready to burn it all down.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, it's like that. Unfortunately, when you're spoiled with success for as many years as Patriots fans have, the first thing that you're going to have is the slightest sniff of failure is you're going to hear hollers for a coaching change. And this is a guy that Bill Belichick, is also a guy that led the Patriots to a 10-win season with Matt Castle as your quarterback. So I'd like to think that if he can do it with Matt Castle, you can probably get some results with Cam Newton. It's just going to take a little bit of a while for the chemistry to start gelling.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, guys, this is the drive-through. Shane's play is the Patriots plus the 4, and of course, as we hit the top of the hour, Shane, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Yeah, I've got one play tonight in the baseball. Looking at a play for tomorrow in soccer, and then getting that UFC card ready. Went 4-0. In the Khabib card, Uriah Hall versus Anderson Silva for the main event. I'll have a play on Thursday, so look for that. And then before I go, I wanted to give a shout out to Brett from Pick Dogs. If you're not following his fantasy lineups, start following them. Start putting them in DraftKings and FanDuel, and start making money. Those are flat out money.
That's right. That's strong words from Shane Mickle here. Check him out, Brett, over at the site there. We're looking for that fantasy action. Of course, you were on that Cannoneer fight here on the show last week.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised he was that. I was surprised Whitaker was that dominant. I thought he'd win, but Kansas looked lost out there against Whitaker.
Yeah. All right, Shane, join us here on the Pig Dogs. Pig Dogs, of course, here on the Drive-Thru Show. As always, Shane, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, have a good night, you guys.
All right, our buddy Shane Mickle here on the Drive-Thru, and we'll continue here with the action. Here's one from the Sun Belt. It kind of got my attention here, and I know we'll get people's attention because you see a team that's ranked in the Sun Belt favored on the road. That sometimes is the kiss of death. Is this the kiss of death here? We got Coastal Carolina laying 2.5. Now it's up to 3. It opened at 2. Total sits at 61 against Georgia State. And if you've ever seen Georgia State play, there's another team with defensive issues. But, man, we'll get to that a little later. Coastal Carolina is a 5-0 team. They covered 4 of 5. They had to utilize a backup last week, and they still got the win against Georgia Southern 28-14. Fred Payton was a backup in there. Although McCall could come back, we'll see how it goes. Georgia State, in a step-up game, they did drop a 34-31 decision to Louisiana. And so here we go. A ranked team favored on the road.
Yeah. Well, I think the curse has already kind of hit Coastal Carolina because I'm seeing McCall downgraded to doubtful for this one. But, they've still got C.J. Marable running the ball. Is it still a Coastal Carolina that I would like to argue has arguably the best front seven in the Sun Belt? And I think that they can give Georgia State a little bit of fits when they're trying to run the ball. Tony, like you said, this is a Georgia State team that likes to, run and gun, that can put points on the board in a hurry. They're also a team that's given up a ton as well. You look, they pulled out a 36-34 win over Troy on the road last time out. They also gave up 52 to Arkansas State. They beat East Carolina 49-29. Beat Louisiana lost by 3 to Louisiana to start the year. This is a Georgia State team that's been in a lot of close games when they've been competing. The thing for me is that I just think that Coastal's defense is going to be the difference here. We've already seen Coastal take a step up and play Louisiana fairly tight and get the job done on the road there. And they followed that up with stifling a Georgia Southern offense that, you know as well as I do, the option offense can get you. So, Coastal looked really good last time out. I like them to carry it over here against Georgia State with that front seven on the defensive end.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there with that Coastal play because remember, it's not the same. The fans. we keep thinking, road game. Then under the COVID, you're not going to have the fans here making all that noise.
Oh no, for sure. It's going to make it a lot easier for a backup to sort of get in and get comfortable and get the ball out. And like I said, C.J. Marable might be one of the better running backs in the Sun Belt that you've never heard of because this guy can beat anybody downfield in the foot race and Coastal, they're full of confidence right now. This is only a team that only joined the FBS, 3-4 years ago and had full-on eligibility. So this is a team that's come in guns blazing. And this is also a team that's building, I think, on one of their first above 500 seasons in FBS play. So this is uncharted territory, but that can go one of two ways. It's uncharted territory, so you don't know how they're going to fare after they win their fifth or sixth game. But at the same time, there's nothing saying that they can't go 10-0 or 9-0 or however well they're going to do this season. So I'm watching the Chanticleers as interested as anybody this season.
Absolutely. It's Chris Ravel here to join us on the drive. There's still more picks coming, guys, so stay tuned. We're going to get to that Rays play in a little bit. But first, let's welcome to the show Damon Sosh. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Damon, I know you're a big Irish. You follow the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and you got to like what you're seeing so far from this team with that big win last week.
Yeah, it was a nice win. Defensively, it looked great. They're giving up less than 10 points a game defensively. I think the offense still needs a little bit of work. They need to work on their downfield passing. You mentioned earlier in the show talking about NFL receivers getting open. I think Notre Dame's receivers need to work a little bit on that as well. And when they are open, Ian Book's got to hit them. But if they can get that passing game going, I'm really liking what I'm seeing with their defense. It's kind of unusual. They win by 42 points last week and they drop in the polls, but so be it.
Yeah, so be it. No doubt about that. Chris, so your thoughts so far on the Fighting Irish?
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie to you. Notre Dame's been a team that's kind of bit me in the butt, and there's a lot of it to bite over the last couple of weeks. I mean, they didn't show up against Louisville offensively, and the defense didn't hold their own against Florida State the week before. But we did see the passing game start to work against Louisville, and if they can become a complete offense, watch out because the AAC is going to be a lot more interesting. It's looking like it's a one-horse race with Clemson right now, but if Notre Dame can join them at the top, that's going to be a heck of an AACC title game for Notre Dame's lone year in the ACC.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, Damon, we're going to take a look here at a game here between Navy and SMU. That one's on ESPN2, a primetime game. I've warned you guys about Sonny Dykes last week. I've seen enough of him with Cal to tell you, be careful with that defense, man. And it's SMU favored about 14. It's come down from 16.5. Total sits here at 59.5 here for Navy. Well, they've had their share of disappointments, but they've got some wins there against East Carolina Temple, and they did beat Tulane with that big comeback. So they got a shot at bowl eligibility. We just saw Army accept a bowl bid to the Independence Bowl. So how do you see this one, Damien?
Yeah, SMU, they're coming into this game. They were whipped last week by Cincinnati, 42-13. Now they're going to have to deal with the triple option, all those cut blocks that Navy's going to be throwing at them. And SMU, this defense, they're allowing 194 yards rushing to their opponents this year. We know Navy is going to be wanting to run the ball a lot with the triple option. I think Dallin Morris, Navy's quarterback, he's starting to run it better each week. Each week, I think he's getting better and better at that. And he's also bringing a little bit more to the passing game for this Navy offense, at least more than we're used to seeing. Last week against a pretty good Houston team, he threw for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, SMU, they're good offensively, don't get me wrong, but they're just so bad defensively. And the way Navy runs its offense, I think possessions are going to be very limited this game. So every time you have the ball, you better score. And that's a lot to ask of any offense. Navy, they've had a lot of success against SMU. The last 11, they're 10-1 against them, 9-2 against the spread the last 11 meetings. Also to note, SMU plays Temple on Thursday of next week. So they're going to have a very short week. You kind of wonder, are they going to have, is SMU, is their full attention going to be on Navy is what I'm trying to say. Whether it is or isn't, I like Navy to keep it within this 14-point number.
All right, Damon says take Navy plus the 14 against SMU. Always be careful laying a lot of points with SMU. With anytime Sonny Dykes is on the coach and you're laying points, you got to be careful because of the defense. How do you see this one, Chris?
Well, first, I think I know what the point that Damien's trying to make as well. Is that you also, if you're SMU, you also want to have a little bit of something to go against Temple as well, because you don't want to come out flat and burn everything out against Navy and then have to go play on 5 days later. But I mean, as far as this game goes, I'm with them 100%. Navy has the same sort of style. That's what gave SMU fits against Cincinnati. With Cincinnati's a team that's going to hit you in the mouth. They're going to get physical on the offensive end and especially on the defensive end. And Navy's the same way. They're going to bruise you up with the option offense. And this defense is also going to come flying at you and hit you hard as well. So this is going to be a low-scoring, a physical game. And I do think that, points are going to be at a premium, and you've got to make every possession count. So I'm on Navy in the 14 points as well.
Yeah, I can't argue that. It's just the Sonny Dykes defense. It's just I cannot. I've told you that many times. Just cannot lay the points here. And of course, what have you seen from Navy, Damien, to give you a little confidence on the side?
Just the fact that I mentioned their quarterback has been running this offense better and better. I think a little bit earlier in the season, you weren't seeing kind of the long runs that maybe you used to seeing from a Navy offense. Each week, he's getting better and better at running this triple option. Like I said, he kind of brings a little bit more of a passing game also. So if they do get down, maybe they can open it up. But if they keep it close, he's more than able to pop one and get one of these wide receivers streaking down the field.
All right, that's Damien Sasha as we're about past top of the hour. Damien, when you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Tonight I still have a play on the total in tonight's World Series game. And then this weekend, there's obviously a lot of football this week, starting Thursday, Friday, quite a few college games, and then a huge slate on Saturday. So I'm definitely going to have a lot of college football plays up. I'm going to start, have been working on those. They should be up either later this evening or tomorrow at some point. So definitely give a look on over at Pick Dogs to see what I have up there.
That's right, guys. Check out Damien Sosh over at Pig Dogs Premium. On the plus side this season, all sports combined. Why not pick up one of his third-day all sports pass? Get every play that Damien releases at Pig Dogs Premium for one low price. You'll find it over at the website. All right, Damien, it's always great having your show. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you in a couple days.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
See you, Damien.
All right, everybody. Damien Sashi, you'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, continue here on the drive-thru. We're gonna hold our nose and talk about the Jets and Kansas City Chiefs. With the Chiefs open 21, it's now down to 19 and a half. There's some Jet early money in this game. God bless these people. Totals up from 47.5 to 48.5 to 49. And when I see these rotten teams play, and Kansas City plays good defense, I always think under when I see a rotten team play against a team like this, because I always think, Chris, that the good team is going to get up and just coast home like we saw with that Dolphins-Jet game. But how do you see this one?
I think it plays out exactly like that. I think this Jets team is an absolute joke, for the lack of a better term. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but this is the most poorly run team in the NFL from a coaching perspective. Sam Darnold, well, I don't know what kind of draft pick you trade this guy for, but I don't see it being as high as a second rounder. And I think it's I think we're looking at a team that's sort of fallen apart at the seams here. I think there's just nobody for either quarterback to throw to. The defense is getting shredded. Don't look at that Buffalo game. Buffalo, just for whatever reason, like Tony's and I were saying earlier, they were just missing open receivers and just had to kick field goals. This Kansas City offense is driven. This is an offense that's going to make a point. They're going to put the boots to the Jets here. And like we said on the morning show, this could be one of the rare instances where you actually see backup time in the NFL. I think this one's going to be over by halftime. I could easily see this one being a 35-0 game at half if everything goes according to plan. I see Patrick Mahomes throwing for 5 touchdowns, and this is going to be an ugly game. I could even see Le'Veon Bell striking against his former team.
It's going to play out like an NBA game, is what you're saying. Blow out it.
Whatever the over is at, I don't even know. That could be the team total. That could be
49.
That could be Kansas City. That's Kansas City all day. This is a bad omen for the Jets. I think it's Kansas City rolling in this one.
Yeah, I can't argue that. All right, here joining Chris Ruffalo here with me on the drive-thru. Right now, it's time for my pick. We're going to go to the Major League Baseball World Series game. We're going to get a total here between the Dodgers and Rays, and we're going to go over the total of 8 runs. The over's coming in 4 or 5, but Blake Snell, he does get the start for the Rays. The lefties allowed 9 earned runs with 12 walks and 18 2/3 innings of work in the postseason. Home run to fly ball ratio 23%. Playoff walk rate 14%. Of course, he's playing better teams now, and the Dodgers added to those negative stats for Snell. Each team has shown the ability to hit the opposing bullpens in this series. Of course, Dodgers, they do a good job of hitting lefties. Tony Gonsolin will go for LA. His past 3 starts, the right-hander has allowed 10 earned runs and 11 2/3 innings. In the playoffs, he's pitched almost 8 innings, but he has a 19% walk rate. I got to look at this one over total of 8 runs. Chris, what say you in this one?
No, I'm with you, Tony. It's starting to look like the Dodgers are getting to that Tampa Bay bullpen. So even if they get through Blake Snell, which they're probably going to, considering Snell's gone 5 innings or 5 easy for me to say, 5 innings or less in 11 of his 16 starts this season. And, we all know about how shaky the Dodgers bullpen has been. So over 8 or even 8.5, I think seems like a very reasonable play for me here. I was also looking at a home run prop. I think Randy Arozarena is going to get another one. I like over half a home run for Arozarena. I got it at plus 400. I'm seeing it drop anywhere around plus 275, depending on where you're getting. It's a shop that line, but I also like the Rays minus a half in the first 5. I think we're going to see the Rays strike on Gonsolin early, and I think it's gonna have to have the story play out as the game goes on, but I definitely think we're going to see the Rays up after the first 5 and maybe hope for some late drama.
All right, that's Chris Ruffalo. I'm Tony T. My play is this over the total of 8 runs here on the drive-thru. Guys, remember, we're on Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of action here. Tomorrow will be Wednesday. We'll have our show. A lot of football will be on discussion here, probably for the next 30 days. and of course, we'll have some soccer picks as well as we approach the weekend. We'll get into some Premier. Of course, we have Al and Chris, and then Goran joins us on Friday with some plays. And of course, so stay tuned throughout the week. We'll have a lot of picks. It's football, man. You guys want the football plays. We'll talk football. We know football. And of course, we got the Pac-12 and MAC coming in action next week. All right. So don't forget the morning show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time with Mitch and company. You'll see Chris on there as well. But now it's time to recap the picks, and let's take a look at the show picks for today. Of course, Al Ninos joins us here today on this one. We started off with Alex Smart. He said, hold your nose, take Vanderbilt plus 17 against Ole Miss. Of course, Ole Miss giving up almost 6 yards to carry on the ground. Vanderbilt's going to ugly up this game, shorten the possessions. He says take the 17. Chris was on the Dolphins +4 against the Rams. Rams making that cross-country trip. We have seen the Rams fall flat offensively. So we saw them against the Niners. We've seen them against the Giants, against Buffalo. So they have not been consistent. Al, Oklahoma at Texas Tech over a total of 68.5 points. Rod, take Hawaii, laying the 1.5 against Wyoming. Shane was on the Patriots +4 against the Bills. Damien, Navy +14 against SMU. Yours truly, Dodgers Rays over 8 on the World Series play. We'll go to Chris. Other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
Tony, I gotta agree with you. I like the over 8 runs in the Dodgers and Rays game tonight. I think the over is going to hit. Whether we go to Game 7 or not, I don't know, but I think we're going to see double-digit runs tonight.
All right, Al, I'm going to ask you the same question. Other than yours, which play do you like the best up there?
All right, fine. They've been asking for a play. I'll agree with you guys again. I'm going Tony T on my favorite pick of the show.
You like the red play. And let's ask the chat room. Chat room, you see the picks up there.
I did ask them.
They did? Okay. Which one do you guys like the best? I want to get your opinion up there on the chat room. So give us your feedback on our show for today. All right, guys, it was the drive-thru. Again, tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll do it all over again. A lot of picks from football. If there's a Game 7, if there is a Game 7, we'll cover it. We'll have a pick for it. So that's something we'll be looking for tomorrow. If we've got the place, looks like Thunder likes that over 8 again, and he likes the Dodgers, so he's gonna parlay the Dodgers to the over 8 runs. All right, let's bring in the pick dogs from today's program. Wave everyone a goodbye and have a good night. And of course, we've got. Look up right next to me there. If you watch the Hollywood Squares, that would be the Rosemary spot. So some of you young guys go on YouTube and check out Hollywood Squares. So you can see Ron Sawaki came through with his pick, right? Team total over 4.5 at +110. All right, guys. Thanks, Chris, for the co-host. Al, again, as always, all the pick dogs joining me today. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you guys.